Yes, thank you, Paul. Hello, folks. Here we are. It's about 2 minutes after 1, but hey, here we are. You guys might notice somebody has joined us here in chat, and that is Jenny Holtzclaw. That is Daniel Holtzclaw's sister. As you know, we're here to talk about Daniel Holtzclaw's case today. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, everyone.
Hi there.
All right.
Jenny, hello.
Hi.
As you can see, I have some other guests here, folks, people from the MAM community who have taken an interest in Daniel's case. That's why we're here today, to talk about creating more awareness for Daniel's case and trying to get some more of the MAM crowd to understand and take an interest, because obviously creating awareness of wrongful convictions and the way that they happen is helpful to all wrongful conviction communities. And that's a big part of what this is. And so we do ourselves a favor by taking an interest in other wrongful convictions when we see them, and continuing to help other communities and all help each other. That's part of what we're doing here today. And I want to give everybody a chance to say hi. Obviously, I've given Jenny a chance. So, Rhonda, is she there? No. Mitch?
Yeah. Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, sorry, Rhonda.
No, that's okay. I just was muting my mic. Hey, it's good to see everybody. Jenny, it's good to finally see you. I've been the little nag on your messenger lately, so
No problem.
thank you for all of your help and encouragement. We really appreciate it.
Right. And Mitch?
Oh, hello. Hi, Jenny. Again, thank you for sending me that information the other day. I watched all the videos you sent me, so thank you.
Great, thank you.
And obviously, you guys know Linda Kay over on her channel.
Hi, Jenny. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, thank you.
And Mr. Capaldi over in Scotland, the mad havering Scotsman.
Well, yes. Hi, Jenny, and hi, everybody else. I must admit, I'm the youngster here. I'm the baby of this group, because I only found out really anything at all about this case about a week ago, thanks to Erekose's videos. The only thing I knew about Daniel Holtzclaw up until then was that Kathleen Zellner used to tweet and use what was it she used to tweet? Was it Free Daniel Holtzclaw hashtag? Was that?
I think.
Yeah, justice for Daniel Holtzclaw, you know. So
Yeah.
I knew nothing about it, and when you see the corruption involved here, you know, it's on a par with anything else we've seen, isn't it? And it's just awful that they could do this to one of their own.
Yes.
Just do it to anybody, let
It
alone one of
certainly
them.
has all of the indicators of wrongful. I mean, in spades, Daniel's case has the indicators of a wrongful conviction. Just everywhere you turn, turn in the case, you're just looking smack in the face of another indicator, and they all add up, and they cause you to be sure it's wrongful. You know. But what are some of the things I want? You know, I know I've asked you about this recently, and you're working on a list, but if you could right now, at the top of your head, some of the worst things in the media about Daniel back when his case was going on and this was all happening.
I think one of the biggest things I would for sure say is how the media never said that the detectives went out searching for these women. And that Oklahoma City Police Department only questioned one race, which was Black females. They never questioned any other race when Daniel had pulled over other women throughout his 3 years on the department. Right.
And that profile went as far as to say African-American females with a background of prostitution and drug convictions as well, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
It was that specific. So.
And they sorted it out. They sought those people. They didn't come forward. They went out looking for them.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And another one the media never said was there was even a male that accused Daniel of sexually assaulting him, which later proved they didn't go forward with it because they knew he was lying. And so media never discussed that. Another thing that is one of the biggest things that I would say also is the whole thing about short black male is what Daniel got the most number of years for. I never heard that in the media. Even though the media sat in the trial for the 6 weeks, I traveled back to Oklahoma for that trial. And during that whole time, never once did they ever mention a lot of the things that was in favor of Daniel's defense. And so that was very frustrating because I had to put it on my social media to get the word out there about what was happening in Daniel's case. And I wish that a lot of those things the media would have said it out there, you know, because they sat in the courtroom. They were there to listen to everything.
We'll get them words out. Believe me, we will.
Yes,
we started
we
that
are.
Discord server now. Daniel's Truth Denied. So we're looking forward to the community coming in and making a great big noise about this. We're going to get it out there. It will be my main focus.
Yeah, I'll just butt in there just to say that the dude's internet has dropped for some reason.
Okay.
Not to worry about that at all. I was going to ask you, Jenny, about the from what I could see of that certainly the trial, there seemed to be a mob rule outside. Are they? How culpable are they? Are they simply ill-informed? Or is it just a case of we dislike the police, we'll do anything we can to see a policeman suffer?
Well, a lot of it comes out to, something that was a lot of the police department, and this was some of the things that Zellner was able to get out of some of the civil depositions. One of them is very critical. They don't even understand about touch DNA or what secondary transfer is. Yeah. That is really huge, especially when you have detectives out there that believe just because, DNA is present doesn't mean that there's crime committed just because of the DNA,
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Another thing to point out about that is there was so much misinformation about the DNA from the very beginning. There was more. One of the things that's very, that I want to point out too is, there was a lot of with the DNA, with the. Hold on, before I start paying attention to the driving. Sorry.
Yeah, not easy. Not easy.
There was more DNA on Daniel's car door handle when they went to go search for DNA from that first allegation of ligands. There was more DNA that was found on the swab of Daniel's car door handle than there was even on what the DNA that was found in Daniel's case on his pants.
And they also informed the jury of what it was.
Yeah. Exactly. And so there's a DNA report, and I would love for you guys to bring that up too. I can send you guys the link, and I think I already have, but just in case I'll send it again. But there was 6 forensic experts that wrote about Daniel's case that it should be overturned, and they read every single piece of evidence in regards to it, and they came to the conclusion that Daniel's case should be overturned. So why would the state of Oklahoma, why would they decide to not read the forensic experts? They completely not want to have anything to do with the DNA report, but yet they are believing everything from Elaine Taylor, the analyst for Oklahoma City Police Department.
Yeah,
frustrating.
There's so
Jenny?
so much more to this.
There he is.
It's unbelievable.
I've been trying to find the DNA report, and I haven't had any yet. You'll be able to.
Can't hear you, Rhonda.
Rhonda, can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me at all?
Now we can.
Now we can.
Okay.
Oh, now you can, yeah.
Okay. I just was wondering, I've been trying to find the DNA report. Jenny, did you say you would be able to link that for us?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
And I can send it to you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
That's regarding that's the trace amounts on Daniel's zipper,
right? Which they called to the jury as vaginal secretions, which is
completely
misleading.
Well, I know the lie. The prosecutor's lie in closing arguments is off the chart.
But that's very important. That is extremely important. I believe that's probably what got him convicted a lot. Is they misled the jury on the DNA.
Right. When there's no proof of any of those things,
whoops. Thank you, Jenny.
Jenny there. Bye, Jenny. If you don't end up coming back, it was great to have you here.
Yes, thank
you. If you come back, then we look forward to seeing you here again in a few minutes. So, anyways, it's for me the fact that they're claiming that there was vaginal, secretions there, and all these things that they're claiming that were absolutely not. In fact, their own expert testifies to the fact that there was none of those things there. It was a trace amount, most likely from a transfer,
Mhm.
And Jenny's back. Here we go.
Excellent.
Well, it says device not connected. Okay, here we go. All right, here we are. Hello.
There she is. Hi, Jenny.
Nearly there.
Oh, she was there. Well, she's frozen. She's frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just echoing.
It's echoing.
The sound was
there
just
it
shipping.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Who's got the
Okay.
crackling sound?
Yeah. I do hear a crackling sound. I'm wondering,
Yeah.
is somebody eating like chips or something? Carrots?
Yeah.
That
Me.
is unfortunate. I don't know what
It's
that
nothing.
is. Really?
I'm
I've never had
not-
that happen on one of my broadcasts before. So. Dang it.
I'm not drinking or eating anything.
Oh,
Yeah, oh well,
just-
Can we mute then, all of us, until we're done
Yep.
talking?
Yeah.
Mute one by one until we figure out who it is. Okay, so that just leaves me and Jenny. Let me try. Wait. Oh, I'm still hearing it. I don't know. I'm still hearing it. So there's some kind of feedback.
It sounds like a feedback, yeah.
Anyway, but getting on with what we were saying, I also like to compare that lie by the prosecutor's Giger there with the lie that Fallon tells in Brendan's closing arguments, where he says, innocent people don't confess. That's absolutely a lie. The Innocence Project and the data coming out of it tells us that that's a lie. And Fallon knew that was a lie, yet he said that. Last thing the jury hears before they go into deliberation is that whopper out of Fallon's mouth, just like the whopper that comes out of Giger's, So, but it's obviously the press was having a lot to say about this back when this was going on. Were they like, how many of these accusers ended up getting on the media? I guess I want to know. Jenny. Oop, her cellular.
It's crackling really bad.
Yeah, I think your cellular
I think
signal
Jenny
might
has
be
a really
getting
bad
sketchy.
connection.
The source of the whoever's eating the popcorn.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jenny,
It's
one
Jenny's
day when
connection.
you're not headed to somewhere and oops, there she goes. So
Yeah.
one day when Jenny's not headed somewhere, folks, and when she's actually be able to sit at home and be on Wi-Fi and sit and chat with us, we will certainly have her back. She's a very, very just, pleasant person to talk to. I'm sure we can get her back probably maybe next weekend or something, and we'll get her back on and we'll talk with her a bit. But obviously right now she's in a bad area and it's probably not going to work out so well. So
Daniel's
all right,
biggest cheerleader.
Yes.
absolutely.
She's
You guys-
wonderful.
Well,
Her
she's
Facebook page
quoted
is
of-
amazing. She's got some really good posts over there.
She's
so.
quoted of saying to Daniel, if you don't give up, I won't give up. Well, I take that challenge too. I won't either.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask a question from the chat?
Sure.
Sure, go.
Sheri is wondering, she's wondering if did his defense attorney counter the untruths, and did they have experts? Did they present experts?
Did the defense present experts? I guess it depends on I guess maybe they might have brought in experts to talk about the AVL GPS. I don't know. I haven't gotten to the trial yet. I'm right now on the accusers. So I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question just yet.
That's kind of where I am too. That's why I didn't want to answer it. Oh, there
There
Jenny.
she is again.
No.
Hey.
Yeah, much better.
Jenny,
There you go.
I have a question from our chat. If you can answer it for us, Sheri wants to know: Did Daniel's defense bring up the truths of the
Bring up
truths of the and did he put on experts for Daniel's case at all during the trial?
No, unfortunately, Daniel's defense did not even bring up the DNA forensic analyst on our side, which was unfortunate because he wasn't able to contradict anything that Elaine Taylor had just perjured herself on stand for.
Okay.
So that is unfortunate. I wish we did definitely have it, but I'm not sure why.
Are we able to
on
FOIA?
there. Yes, in Oklahoma, there's. I know that Michelle Malkin and Brian Bates have done a few, and I can send you guys the links into those as well.
Okay.
Right.
Great.
And
Yeah.
some of those were with the deleted emails from Lane Taylor.
Right.
Ooh, those would be fun to read.
So I was saying before you were dropped out before, I was wondering,
Yeah.
how many of the accusers did they end up bringing out in the media and like parading on the news?
As they kept on piling on, they did it like every week. As far as when it was, brought into the media.
Right.
So from the very beginning, when then they splashed his name all over the media, and then you had the chief of city, Prater, both city and Prater, doing a press conference in front of the media.
Right.
With Daniel's face plastered everywhere, and that
Right.
even accrued more accusers that way too.
Right. Yeah. There's certainly a poisoning in the media, and I think that needs to be addressed because that's something that parallels with Avery Dassey as well. Is how poisonous the media can be, particularly when they're biased. It's worse.
Absolutely. And
Also, what was going on then is kind of going on now in the society with the Black Lives Matters, the uproar of that. That was kind of the same similarity, wasn't it, Jenny? That what was going on then and going on now.
Yeah, exactly. The Ferguson and the Baltimore riots were happening the same time that Daniel's allegations happened, and about the same time as the trial. So it was definitely a lot of the same scenarios that are happening now that happened back, 5 to 6 years ago. So
Right.
it's definitely
Guilty by public damage.
Close to home.
So my friend, I know I've talked to you about the transcripts and stuff. My friend Travis talks about how making a central website for the West Memphis 3 and like for the Avery's, Dassey cases where everybody can go to that central website to review the documents and stuff. I was just wondering if the Daniel Holtzclaw community has considered doing that to this point as well, because it might cause more people to flock to the banner if they can review the case like that.
For sure. And that's something I'm actually going to discuss with my dad some more as far as, releasing that.
Right.
Yeah, so I definitely want everyone to dig in. So
Right. Okay.
Let me find out that I do want to take off a certain page off there at the very beginning, just for it has jurors information. I don't want that on there.
Sure. You want to redact anything? Sure. Okay. My friend Travis is a lawyer in Texas, and he kind of helps us out with analysis on things sometimes. So that's immediately what he wants to go for is the documents. He's just that way. So, but no rush. Talk to your dad and work it out, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And we also could do that too in our Discord server, which I'm encouraging everybody, even though it's under the works, please join in because it'll be a great source to all join in and talk and get brief references.
And as you guys know, it literally takes a village of people to overturn a wrongful conviction.
Yeah.
So the more eyes we have on the case, the better. We definitely want everyone reviewing and seeing for themselves what media has said and then what is actually the truth and facts of the case.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We work on facts.
But that's why and folks, that's why I'm content to show you guys what Brian Bates has been doing while this decision gets made about the documents. I'm just content because he's seen them all. And he'll sit there and tell you in his podcast what he's seen and what he hasn't seen and that sort of stuff. So that's why we can get caught up on Daniel's case for now by going through those while this decision gets made. So I don't think it's a terrible, a hurdle that we're dealing with because Brian Bates knows this case and he is telling us all of the problem areas. You know what I mean? And those of us who have an eye for wrongful convictions, like most of us watching this channel, can appreciate that. So,
yeah.
How you doing over there, Mitch?
With you.
You have a question for Jenny?
Well, Jenny, I want to tell Jenny that I was able to send Daniel an email yesterday through a mutual friend that she corresponds with him. So I sent him a lifelong letter yesterday. So and let him know that I'm putting the word out all over the world here through our Truther committee, Truther World, we call ourselves.
Community.
Community. Yeah. So that way we can get the word out and help out as much as we can, like we have with Stephen Avery's case thing. So.
Wow.
I'm hoping to bring that much awareness. I really am.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping. I mean, you know.
Yeah, we got friends all over the world, and we're going to spread the word.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Well,
That's the
thank
idea.
you.
Thank you for letting us.
Thank you
I
for being
appreciate
so
it.
transparent.
But if we'll have to do this again. I'll jump on again.
Yeah.
Next time I got to go to the baby shower. But
absolutely.
thank you guys so much for everything.
It's a pleasure. Yep.
Thank you,
see
Jenny.
again another
Thank
time.
you. Nice to
Good
meet
to see
you.
you, hon.
Thank you,
Yep.
Daniel.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
She's
What a lovely
sweetie.
lady.
Yes, she is. She's
Yeah.
she's awesome. So
Yeah.
so there you go, Travis. It's in the works. She's talking to Dad. We'll know soon enough, and they may create that central website. So there we go, and hopefully that will be the beacon. You know what I mean? With folks like us, Brian Bates, Michelle Malkin, with people out there talking about this. Hopefully people will get directed there, and people will start to learn. You know, that's the goal here.
There's a person in the chat named Guy
Mercer.
Guy Mercer.
Yeah,
Mercer.
Yeah, he wanted to join or something. I don't know who he is, so I don't know if anybody knew who he was.
No.
I think it's
You've never heard of him,
when
Mitch?
No, I have not.
Just a case of you can put a link in the chat. You have to come in via sort of various.
I can put it in the chat.
Yeah.
And then I can just decide whether or not to let you in when you get here.
You got to show your face so we can hear you talk and all. You know, none of this porn bombing here.
I was gonna say to Mitch though, just while we do that.
There'll be no D pics on my channel.
That's right.
Mitch, I watched the follow-up video, which was the Michelle Malkin, and she has on as one of her guests an expert called Brent Turvey.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was absolutely brilliant, the things he brought up. And of course, for a lot of people, if you're wondering who Brent Turvey is, I've featured him as well in videos. But of course, you remember that he was an expert that John Farrack turned to on many articles with the Post-Crescent in the Stephen Avery case. So I would definitely Can I post a link to that, dude? The video with Brent Turvey in it.
Yeah.
Because I would love to have a chat with Brent Turvey at some time.
Right.
He is definitely an expert when it comes to, he was pointing out things like when this Rocky Gregory or whatever his name was, he was putting Daniel's trousers into like an evidence bag, and he was saying that is absolutely not what you do.
Right.
Oh,
he put his hand all in around it.
You wrap it up, and you think, surely Rocky Gregory knew this, but he wasn't bothered about that because it wasn't going to make any difference whatsoever.
Wait a minute. Did he even take that 1 week class that Fassbender did, or was it?
All right. Hello, Guy.
Hello, Guy.
Sounds like he's getting a phone call.
He's getting a phone call right in the middle.
I'm going to go ahead and remove him for a moment, then and let him handle his phone call.
Do we know him?
Nice to see you for a second.
He's phoning his mum saying, "I'm on telly."
Yeah,
right. Is he somebody we know?
I don't recognize him, but
he said he's had conversations.
Look, we'll see when he gets here.
Hey, Eric, I was you were talking earlier. This case so mirrors Stephen Avery's.
All right, hello, Guy.
Players.
Hi. Hi, Guy.
Shut up.
Guy.
Sorry, Mitch. Go ahead. I just wanted to say hi to him real quick since I clicked on it.
No, this case has its own Lincoln Colburn. If not, they're more doofus than I think our pair we have. And
they also parallel Fassbender and Wiegert. Well as well. So I mean,
and we got our own Ken Kratz in this case too, and this guy is even more mob connected. I mean, it's unbelievable what this PA is, and yes, it's just like
I have
parallels.
I have an inks with Blinky myself. That's what I call Kim, Blinky.
Yes.
Here you go, Mr. Capaldi. Travis brings that up. So how you doing, Guy?
Kirby. Yeah.
So what brought you here to want to jump in today?
Previously, I exchanged with you by just texting. A couple of times ago, you don't remember me probably, but sometimes I make jokes. I've been following the Grande Dassey case from the beginning, and I'm probably like everybody else, totally stunned how the thing is going, and hopeful for the future. But
right.
no, I wanted to exchange if I can. My English is not that good, but I think I can follow up.
It's okay. Yeah, it's good.
Travis remembers you.
Who remembers me?
Travis remembers Guy.
Oh, great.
Guy. So there you go. So obviously today we're talking about Daniel Holtzclaw, not Brendan. But it's good. I'm obviously very happy to meet Brendan's supporters always. So welcome. But obviously as we go on here, here's the point, folks. Is what you need to, for me, what you want to understand about the Daniel Holtzclaw case is, I mean, yes, all the other things that people are talking about with the trace amounts on the zipper and all that stuff, that's all true. But here's the thing you need to focus on is how this investigation started, okay? Because it's right from the start, right from the word go, that the corruption creeps in. I mean, there is no time where this investigation is actually proper for any amount of time. It's just literally from the word go, corrupt.
Absolutely.
Okay, and here's why. The original complainant, the original accuser comes out and makes this complaint against Daniel. Okay, she very quickly gets down to the hospital, get a SANE kit done within a couple hours, which means there's likely to be some kind of remnants of some officer having done the thing that she's accusing of, which is essentially forcing her to have oral sex with him, right? So they find nothing there. So that's number one against the accuser's story. So then you move on past that. Accuser claims that Daniel had her put her hands on the hood while he patted her down. Daniel claims he never patted her down. We look at the hood. Daniel's hood. Let me see if I can pull up that picture for y'all real quick.
No prints
of what Daniel's hood looked like.
Yeah.
Oh, but how could they do that?
But according to Kim, it doesn't matter what the outside looked like because the inside of his car was filthy, dirty.
Yes.
You're absolutely
right.
Who cares how dirty the inside of his car?
But the fact that the hood is dirty, you don't see her handprints. Okay? Yeah. You don't see her handprints displacing. I mean, it's a fair amount of kind of dirt and stuff, folks. It's if you put your hand on that hood, especially if you're scared that the officer was going to shoot you with his gun and you were legitimately that scared and frightened, your palms would sweat. And you would certainly displace some of that dirt. None of it's displaced. There's no handprints. There's no DNA or fingerprints that could be found on that hood. So what does that do? That discounts Janie Ligon's story that she was frisked with her hands on the hood, and it gives credit to Daniel's account that he never frisked her. You understand? This is with the first accuser, folks. Number one. Mm-hmm. And this is what's happening.
Red flag.
And then she claims also that while she was in the back driver's seat door facing outward so that she could perform the oral sex that he was forcing her to perform, according to her, that he had put his hand up on the hood in an attempt, I guess, to try to get between traffic on the street that they're parked on the curb of. So he's trying to block the people in the cars from being able to see that what she's doing and what's going on there, apparently, according to her. So they test that spot. None of Daniel's fingerprints there on that spot either. So that's two things that she claimed that were proven wrong. The fact that the SANE kit came up empty, and this is where they started. And this shaky allegation is what spurred them on to a bunch more, even shakier allegations.
And what was going on in the public at the time, like Travis brings up here, had a great deal to play into this. A very big deal. In fact, on his birthday, when he was sentenced, how sad that could be, they were singing happy birthday to him in a mockery way outside of the courtroom. So there was a lot going on in the society at that time that just made it very easy to pin all this on him.
Travis brings up a good point as well. So there was a lot of tension going on around this. And this starts to get into what was OKCPD's motive in doing this to Daniel. That's what Travis is touching on here. He's touching on the fact that the NAACP is getting involved. There was another group there in Oklahoma City that we see in the Michelle Malkin special that was run by an African American lady who I guess had a great deal of pull and would have had a lot of what's it called, protesters out there. It might have even gotten a bit unpleasant, and so there's a theory that the Oklahoma City Police Department was afraid of this igniting a firestorm, and that they victimized Daniel to make it go away easily. Now, for me, it's like, okay, even if you did adopt that horrible, mathematics in how you're going to handle this, why not go after one of the officers in your department that actually, say, was busted once for having sex on duty with a prostitute in his uniform? Maybe that guy would be a better choice.
Yeah,
perhaps.
They couldn't do that though if it's who I think you're speaking of, because he was black, so that wasn't going to work.
Well,
you know
if he's black, that actually makes it work for Terry Morris, Sheri Ellis.
No, for them, right? I'm speaking for the artists, the artists for justice people, though.
Right.
The leader of the protesting.
Oh, right.
She couldn't. If that had been the case, then then what? Then what would she have done? Then we would be having a whole different conversation.
Sure. Right. And then we find out in the which one is it? Yes, it's the Sheri Ellis allegations. In that one, we find out that at the time this was all going down, they didn't know, but a cop that patrolled, who was a African American officer who was shorter than Sheri Ellis, was a shorter build, who actually patrolled within 1,500 yards of the spot where Sheri Ellis claims that she was raped. And there's a cop. Okay, so Brian Bates, I love how he does this in his podcast. He goes, so at this point, you think I'm just going to go ahead and draw that correlation just because he was patrolling close by? That means he must be the cop that she's talking about with no other, whatever. He goes, that might have been true, but a couple, after Daniel's trial was over in 2016, that officer, that guy who patrolled 1,500 yards from where Sheri Ellis claims that she was raped, that officer was busted in a human trafficking bust.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what the hell's going on at the Oklahoma City Police Department? I mean, you got one officer who's busted for having sex with prostitutes while on duty, and now you have this guy who comes up later being busted in a human trafficking scandal. What the?
And is Purnell Sanders? She says it was on the heels of Ferguson with the police chief being forced to resign. It made quick decision when Janie Liggins reported.
Yep. Janie Liggins, yeah.
Yep. Sacrificed Holtzclaw in a brick town from burning. Well, isn't it quite funny that this stuff is going on right now? And we are talking about Daniel again. I mean, it is... I think it's great that we're bringing it up, especially at this time, because that was what was going on then. And let's see the truth of it now when it's going on. Let's really dig down here and make these people aware of what was really going on.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yes.
Yeah.
And the Black Panthers were there too.
I almost think our justice system should start to give the accused an option. Do you want your trial to proceed quickly, as according to the Constitution, or do you want to waive that right so that you can wait about 5 years and continue whatever, blah, 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 and then do your trial? Because honestly, I know some people are out there going, shut the hell up, Erekose, you're crazy. But think about it. Folks, your trial is where the facts get determined. I don't think it's crazy. To possibly want to take a little bit more time to make sure your facts get determined properly at trial. I think if it's a serious enough case and my life is on the line, or my potential freedom for the rest of my life, or whatever might be on the line, I think I might sit in jail for a little bit longer and make sure me and my attorneys get it right. That's just something, that's just a thought, and it may not be possible. But for me, the way our justice system works, you got to get it right the first time or you're fucked. And that's the way it is.
Try to get out, even though the well, let's put it this way. Clinton admitted that EDPA was a mistake, and yes, it was something we should have never did. Okay, well, what do we do about it now? That's what I want to know. It's just as hard. When you're convicted, your appeal process and your rights have been knocked down so much that you just don't have a chance. So they know, it's like in Brendan's case. They know they used his coercion or his interrogation, what was it, interview?
Right.
To be not what you do. Okay, well, you know that.
/interrogation /coercion /child abuse
torture.
Right, and the list goes on. You know that's wrong, and yet you're going to teach what not to do, and you know that that's what false confessions come from. But yet poor Brendan sits in prison. That makes absolutely no sense. It doesn't. Just like Clinton saying, "Oh, I made a mistake." Well, good for you. Now fix it.
Yeah.
How can you fix it?
Right. Yeah.
Question for you, dude. Sorry to
interrupt.
Kay Parnell Sanders has said the above link is an amicus brief. The court refused to accept, but I don't see any link. I suspect
she can't put a link in.
Oh, she probably can't put a link in.
This woman knows a lot about the case. I gotta tell you.
Kay, send it to me through Messenger real quick, and I'll post it.
Send it to the dude, and then he can post it. Yeah.
Kay knows a lot about the case, and I appreciate that very much.
As soon as she sends that over.
So I've got a question for everybody else on the panel. Seeing as I am the youngster or the newbie, and that was what I was basically alluding to Jenny before, was, do you think that this sort of mob that went after Daniel, do you think they were just ill-informed? They just didn't have the facts, and this is why they jumped on the bandwagon of, we can give the police department a black eye. We can make sure, particularly when you've seen things like in the trial by media, the 4 policemen that unloaded on the guy in New York, and found completely innocent of murder when they've actually, they put 41 bullets inside the guy, Right. So do you think the mob, and I have to call them that because that's basically what they were.
Yeah.
Are they simply ill-informed on this?
I think I think so, and I think the detective Blinky and Rocky had a lot to do with this. They had an agenda. They had an agenda, like I think they had in Stephen Avery case.
Yeah. Okay, so they had an agenda. Where did this agenda come from? Was it of their own volition, or was it from higher up?
Was
it from Chitty down?
I don't believe that it was misinformation. I believe that it was something got put out there, and they found another reason to run with it, and mostly because of what Kay's been saying. That's what was going on at the time. I mean, there was already this movement, for the Ferguson case. And so I think that they just got one little tidbit of whatever, the Dumb and Dumber gave out. And they're like, oh, great, here we go. We've got these black women. So it's crimes against the blacks by police officers again. And I don't think it was a lack of information. I think they got to a certain point where they didn't want to hear any more truth. Not that there was any out there. They didn't want to hear any truth because they'd already decided how they were going to react and respond to it. That's just my opinion.
Sorry, I've got one other question, and that is for Travis. For Travis, he says, what have you all reviewed that makes you sure the jury got it wrong? I'm having trouble understanding that. As with all these cases, the problem, Travis, is that we do not think that people were proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And if you've not been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then that's why you have to look at it.
I have
Did
to
the
address
jury get
that.
it wrong? We don't know. We don't know. But when you've got so much suspicion on this is when you have to look at it.
Yeah,
Travis, give that link a quick read right there that I just posted, Trav.
Yeah, Travis.
Okay? It's Brian Bates running through running through basically what happened in a kind of short summary fashion of what went down with the Holtzclaw case, you'll see that I'm just uncovering the first third of the shit pile right now. There's a couple other shit piles coming that I haven't even touched yet.
There's a whole
You're gonna
lot.
see. So read that. That is a basic synopsis of what happened with Daniel's case. You're gonna see there's plenty of cause for concern, dude.
Yeah.
Now,
and I don't think that
I'm not here saying Daniel's innocent, although I kind of believe he is. But what I'm doing right now is preaching to people to get to know the facts themselves.
Yep.
That's what I'm here preaching. That's what I'm here telling people, to get familiar with it yourself. So that's my message. I hope everybody understands that, and we're all copacetic now. All right.
Thanks for joining our live. We'll see you next time. Just kidding.
I gotta address
we're still here. We're not going nowhere.
I have to address what Travis said, because he said in reviewing, so what are we, why are we so sure the jury got it wrong? Okay, I really don't know if the jury got it wrong for what the information that was given to them.
Yes.
They might not have made it wrong. It was their information. They were misled. They were misled about DNA, which is extremely important.
Yes.
I mean, that is, to me, one of the biggest flaws in this case was the misinformation about the DNA. So I think it's not that they got it wrong. I think they were just misled and misinformed with lies and whatever else you want to say about that.
Yeah. Some of the obvious misconduct going on here. It's obvious.
Our juries of our peers, we love DNA. We just, if it's a DNA thing, then that's the answer for them. And if that DNA is misrepresented,
gospel.
And if the DNA is misrepresented, and that's all the jury knows, then then that's why I think they got it wrong, because they were like Linda said, they're misinformed, and they just believed. And we still have enough people who believe that, law enforcement or the justice system would never do that kind of, they would never mislead. Bullshit. There's just no way that we can continue to live in a society in our criminal injustice system the way that it is, and not accept the fact that there are liars and people who are trying to climb to a top of a mountain of some sort, and they're going to lie, and we know this from Brendan and Stephen's cases. And my thing, what I want to know is I want to figure out who these people on the jury are, because those are the people that I want to talk to now. I want to know now that everything is pretty much out there, the basics of the good stuff is out there. I want to know now how they would try.
And I know there's a few jurors. They've already asked a few jurors, and a few of the jurors said that they were greatly influenced by what Giger said in his closing argument about the DNA. So a few of them already have come out and said that they were greatly swayed by that.
Yep. Yes. I've seen that.
I've got another question. Sorry.
And by the crowd too.
and that is following on from this, the jury. Do you think that the jury, knowing full well, I mean, let's face it, it's very rare that any district attorney would prosecute one of their own, as in a police officer. We heard that in Walter Barton's case, Arkley Barton, the reason they found him guilty in the 5th trial was the fact that the state had put him on trial 4 times already. He must be guilty, otherwise they wouldn't keep pursuing him. So do you think that also played into their sort of the jury thinking, well, he must be guilty if the state are bringing one of their own to trial?
I think they did it, especially at that time. If you're going to convict a cop, you're going to look like a great department. That you're doing your policing well, that you are on top of it. And if we're showing you this because we are going to put one of our own away. So we're doing a great job. That's what I think.
And that's what Kim Davis and Rocky Gregory said. We're just because it's a police officer, we're going to get him. We don't tolerate that. We don't stand
no one
for
above
that.
the law.
And don't forget the comment made to Kim Davis when this was all starting out, about the fact that the eyes of the department are upon you. You know, But things like that, I mean, obviously there was pressure. There was some serious pressure here. And that pressure is, in my opinion, affecting the due process.
Yeah.
Travis, go look at that stuff.
Travis is really struggling with this. He's really
come on,
struggling
Travis.
with this.
Just go check it out yourself. Here, he is sometimes the.
I can't decide if Travis is playing. I can't decide if he's playing devil's advocate or if
you guys
really.
You guys just got to understand Travis.
We know Travis.
That's Travis.
That's the lawyer in Travis.
That's what he is. That's what he is. That's what he does.
I do get it. I love and respect him very much, but it's infuriating at the same time.
Yeah.
See, I love you,
and that's but you know what? But listen, that actually what Travis is doing is actually the right thing, and when you think about it, because we don't want people just jumping on a bandwagon and all of us in our community saying, "Yep, he's innocent." And for whatever the reasons are, and not knowing it for themselves. I want people to know for themselves whether or not Daniel is guilty or innocent. Yeah, so he's doing it the right way, but come on, Travis.
Hey, look, I feel that Brian Bates is being very objective in his approach. I feel he even says things that aren't in Daniel's favor. He actually will say things that aren't in Daniel's favor, but he'll put them out there because he wants you to understand that he is not trying to be unobjective. So he will put those things out there. That for me is making it a good place for me to start. As I asked Jenny today, when she talks to Dad and they decide they're going to go ahead and make that central website where people can get together and start, looking into this, great. I'll be there with you, Travis, and we'll be digging through it, dude. We'll take it in baby steps. What I got right now is a very thorough going through of this case with Brian Bates. So I'm not gonna balk at it. I'm gonna continue to follow his very thorough analysis until I can move on to the documents. So that's where
we're gonna catch up to you because we're kind of starting at
absolutely.
But that's for people who really want to just start at the beginning. That's what we're doing. And you are drive like the Erekose way. You just drive right into that and stick this up your guys as you know what, because this is what's going on.
Yeah.
We're going to take a slower look at that. So it's just something. There's just so much in this case. And I do appreciate what Travis says. I really, really do. Because we're going to get a lot of that. And it also encourages people to check it out for themselves.
Oh, hey, T1, you want to go back and watch the beginning of this one? We're talking about Daniel Holtzclaw, and we had Daniel's sister, Jenny, on at the beginning. So you might want to go back and give that a look. So,
I kind of want to address another thing that Travis is saying, because I may misunderstand my own self. Brian Bates didn't start out as he eventually was on the investigative team for Daniel, but he didn't start out that way. He started out just as an investigator of the case.
Well, he started out as a web guy. He was known for what was his thing? Got You camera or something. He had this name.
Yes, right.
Where he caught people with his camera out in public doing things they shouldn't do, and camera vigilante. That was it. That was it.
Camera.
Yeah, right. And so he was catching people. So he built a name for himself, had a website. At the time Daniel Holtzclaw's trial came about, he was doing a website where he was just looking into all kinds of police misconduct, calling out police misconduct, human trafficking, all this kind of stuff. He had a deep interest in calling all that stuff out. He was getting ready to start commenting on the Daniel Holtzclaw trial, but he didn't have any information yet when he got a call from Daniel's lawyer. And Daniel's lawyer asked him if, number one, have you done an article about my client yet? To which he said, no, I don't have the information yet, but it's coming. And then the defense lawyer said, well, why don't you come on down here and take a look? Because this guy says he's innocent and I'm not sure. And why don't you come down here and take a look at it? And you can go through it and you can tell me what your gut feeling is on this so that I know whether or not I need to be fighting for him or whether or not I need to be trying to get him a deal. And that's essentially the way that the defense attorney came at it. And so Brian Bates said, okay, he went on down. He met Daniel, the attorney. They started going through the documents. And it's a very interesting thing if you read in that the Daniel Holtzclaw, the whole story or whatever it is, he talks about how he had a completely unique experience dealing with Daniel, somebody convicted of sexual assault, than he'd ever had with the other people that he'd worked with. He said with the other people that he'd worked with, there was always that point where you reached where their story became fishy, where you saw looks on their face as they were talking about what happened that made the hair on the back of your neck stand up. He'd talk about that, how that would happen with other guys, but how it didn't happen with Daniel, because Daniel obviously came through as genuine. So now we're obviously relying on Brian Bates's own, little radar. But for me, that's significant because that's the kind of people that Brian Bates had been dealing with. And the fact that his radar wasn't tripped by Daniel is not admissible in court, but it's, to me, an interesting side note.
And Michelle, she's really great at this too. She's
right. But he didn't come from a background of truth. Yeah. He didn't come from a background of loving police officers and wanting to help them. He didn't.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I think is worth noting too, for those who are questioning, is I don't know of any other or many other cases where an investigation team will go out and search for victims of a perpetrator, and create victims based on things that they've seen in call logs and whatnot. But that's what happened in this case. There's this list, not list thing that's going on, of people that, oh gosh, I can't remember his name. I'm sure you remember. Musney went out and, created this list, spent all this time going through call logs and all those things, and made a list of potential suspects that could have been a victim of a perpetrator like this. And so that was Rocky Gregory's, like, his favorite pastime, it would seem, and Kim Davis's, to go out and hunt down these people on this non-existent list, and help them develop a story.
Help them remember what happened.
Help them develop a story that would make Daniel the perpetrator of a crime that may or may not have even happened to them. Shut up, Linda. But yeah,
sorry.
So that's the other thing is and maybe Travis knows more than that about me. Of course, I'm sure he does. But I'd like to see other cases where that happened, where a list of potential victims is made against the perpetrator that they want to see going to prison or being charged. I assume it happens, I guess, but I'd like to see some of those cases, because to me that was a really big thing for me. Like, if you can get past that 2-hour interrogation from the very beginning, and then look past that to these cases that were developed, I think that's a pretty big deal.
It would be one thing if the women had come to them.
Yes.
That would have been different. Then I would have been affected by the pile-on.
Yes.
But because the way the pile-on happened was the investigators going out and seeking them out and basically just offering them a self-fulfilling prophecy. No, I'm not. That doesn't sway me one bit when you go out and cultivate it. Now, like I said, had they come and brought it on their own, would have been a whole different story. Then the piling on would have been considerable and would have given me pause.
And then you have
a certain group of people.
But let's talk about this lady right here, folks.
Yeah.
I've just been covering
Barnes is like
Tabitha Barnes in the last 3 videos that I did about Daniel Holtzclaw. The first part 1 was the interview of Florine Mathis, which led to the interview of Tabitha Barnes, because they're friends, they're crackheads. They like to smoke out and sit in the crack house and smoke on the glass D, as it were. They're friends. So they go and interview Florine one day, and next thing you know, her friend Tabitha, who's been getting hassled by Daniel because she has a crack house, and she's got a crack house with a sex offender living there with her kids, also in the same house. And so Daniel was concerned about this situation, and he was keeping an eye on it. And so she had reason. She had an axe to grind, and it's like I said, none of these women came to them. They came to these women. and I mean, and Tabitha certainly had an axe to grind, and gave them this weapon against Daniel, and it's sickening.
Right. And he was just doing his job. He was just doing what every other cop does: go around and go to the particular bad areas and see what's happening, so you can stop this drugs going on or whatever, prostitution. He was just doing a job.
Exactly, especially when it's so evident that this Tabitha Barnes is. Look, I'm not saying anything about Tabitha Barnes, but she is a drug addict. She clearly has very little control of her addiction. Very little. Folks, when you show up 2 or 3 hours late for court, high on PCP, you're a fucking moron. And anything you have to say should be greatly questioned at that point.
Especially when they're all in the same category. They're all drug abusers or prostitutes. They're all black. They were going after what was happening outside in public opinion and what they could use for leverage, knowing that these people with these problems are going to see a way out by, if I can get out of this, and they're not going to put the spotlight on me anymore. Oh boy, I'm on that bandwagon. I mean, we know that by jail has snitches. So, same mentality.
So with all the shakiness, though, that I pointed out in the last couple of videos, folks, about Tabitha Barnes's, statements and testimony at trial, the conflicts between the two different times, all those various things. Look at what it says right here. Daniel was convicted on 3 counts that were brought regarding Tabitha. To my mind, that works in Daniel's favor in post-conviction, because picking this apart is going to be really easy for a good post-conviction attorney. This is going to be easy to pick apart. And once one domino falls,
they all come down.
There you go. So I am so happy. Thank you very much for Oklahoma City jury for leaving this shit show in the ones that you determined he was guilty of, because this is going to be the attack point.
Agreed.
So it's ridiculous. Now, something else that people need to be aware of. There was originally 21 accusations against Daniel. Before trial, there were 21 accusations against Daniel. Okay. Prior to trial, 8 went away. Do you know why? It's because those 8 people, one of them was a man, by the way, those 8 people were claiming that they had contact with Daniel in a police car and uniform and whatever as a police officer after he had been put on an administrative leave and couldn't have possibly been there.
Yep.
Okay? So they had 8 fake stories that they knew were fake before trial.
Well, just like the 21 they had to make Stephen B somewhere else, they ignored them too.
Right. Yes.
So let's just
in
reverse
his 85.
that.
Yes.
It's either
trial.
good or bad.
Absolutely. So you take 8 away from 21, you're left with 13. Now, guess what happens at trial, folks? I'm shocked that the jury let this one stand. By finding him guilty here on Tabitha, but I'm glad they did. I'm glad they did, because it's going to be an easy point of attack. But what they did was they ended up discrediting 5 of the accusers in their decision. So the jury determined 5 of the accusers were completely full of crap and determined that Daniel was not guilty of the whatever it was they claimed he'd done. The jury threw out another 5. So that means 13 out of 21 original cases were thrown out for being obviously false. And now we're left with 8. And I would argue that those 8 are shaky as shit. And they are ready to fall. So
good call.
I've never heard that expression before.
Kay points out here that they have solo patrol in Oklahoma. So that is not unusual. A lot of people said, they brought it up, why was he always alone when he went to this person's house or this or that? That is the practice of the police department. So they can throw that out the window too.
Yeah, it seems he does, because even when he calls for backup, in the Tabitha call, the backup comes and he's one officer, one vehicle. So I mean, there's something there to suggest that that's the case, definitely. So, but yeah, that's another thing you need to consider in this case: the fact that only 8 out of the original 21 ended up landing. And I argue that those 8 shouldn't have landed. Certainly not the 3 counts that Tabitha Barnes brought. So,
Well, I know you haven't gotten that far, but when you hear his verdicts, and I don't even have words for it today. And I've had a few days to think about it. So it's very disturbing.
I know it is. I'm sure the judge was drinking the Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? I mean, wouldn't surprise me.
Be the same ones Valos are drinking now too.
And let's just kind of stray a little bit to that. 263 years, and I am not discounting the awfulness of a sexual assault crime at all. I'm not. But there are murderers who've been able to walk free in far less than 263 years. And so to make that all concurrent was just insane to me. So that also, that to me shows something else is going on. That exactly.
It's all about sending a message to keep the city from burning.
Clearly the wrong one.
Yeah, and the city's burning anyway. So they failed at that.
That's George Floyd, though. That's Chauvin's fault.
Yep, that's right.
It's turned into a whole different thing now. I'll tell you that.
Well, there's tensions out there. I'll tell you what. There's evidence that governments have been kind of lackadaisical in their jobs, and the people are getting fed up with it. There's plenty of evidence of that out there. Hopefully the governments are starting to pay attention and take notice of that fact, because it's happening. So.
That's why I say it's really good that we're talking and bringing awareness to Daniel's case now, because this is what was going on in the time of him being. So I find it quite ironic, actually, but I also think it's really good. It's really good. Yeah,
we're going to continue to bring awareness and that sort of stuff. So, folks, be tuning in over to Linda Kay's channel if you're interested in following the Daniel Holtzclaw case, because her and Rhonda are going to be covering it over on her channel. I'm going to be covering it here on my channel. You're going to probably see Mitch with me on lives and stuff talking about this quite often. I'm going to continue moving forward with my uploads the way I have been. I'm going to continue moving forward with my uploads the way I have been until I get to the end of Brian Bates' podcast. And I will be hoping that by that. Exactly. And then which I'm hoping by that point, the documents will be available. And then we'll be diving into those. So that's what I'm looking to do, folks. I might even have another special treat for you that I'm only going to hint at. But something unique that y'all might be interested in, I might have very soon. So I'm just going to tease it like that and let you wonder. And that's about it for that. So is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about before we...
Go ahead, Rhonda. Make your announcement. Rhonda.
Mitch. We lost Mitch.
Nothing but a stump.
Sorry, thanks. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell everybody that I've started a Discord channel for Daniel's case. It's Daniel's Truth Denied is the name of the channel. So it's like I just barely started it today. It's brand new, and I am not techie whatsoever. So, but I still want people to go ahead and come and join. Look for it, come and join, and just know that it's a work in progress. But I think this will be I'm finding Discord is actually becoming one of the bigger ways of communicating things like this. So
it's an easier community to be able to share documents, photos, and files. And, yeah.
So that's there. That's I'll try to figure that out. That's techie, Linda.
And maybe you can talk to Erekose and he can put it in the description or something.
Yeah, I'll see if I can figure it out.
But it's to announce it, not have a link.
Yeah, I know. I suck like that. What can I say? But even though it's just getting started, I would love for everybody to come and join and suggest things to me, because I don't know how it all works. So If anybody's got suggestions or advice or anything, I want to hear it. So
Okay.
we want it
And
to be
thank
as
you.
successful as possible. We want everybody to be, how do I get that link? We want everybody to be, involved as much as possible. This deserves just as much, information and awareness as the others.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
So
It's
Well, it's
just
like I
one.
said, folks, creating awareness of other wrongful convictions is going to ultimately help Avery Dassey. It's as we get people to take notice that these things are happening on a grander scale, that's when the change can happen. But right now, a lot of people out there don't believe it happens. They don't believe it. They just don't. And
No, they
we
don't.
got to get them to believe it. And we also need to be diligent. We need to be informed.
Yep.
These are things we need to be, because if we fail to be those things, we fail to convince other people that these problems exist. So it's something to always kind of keep your mind on. Always make sure you're trying to come with accurate information. Try to come with the most accurate information. We are trying to convince people that there's a cancer. And if you want people to believe that cancer's there, you got to be convincing. So just remember that.
And I'd like to thank you, Erekose, for bringing awareness to this. You have a very big platform. And congratulations on your 7K.
Congratulations.
7,000. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. And I appreciate that, because I really have a passion for this. And I want to thank you for that.
Yep, you're so welcome. Hey, look, I'm happy that everybody's getting out there and getting vocal. So, sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Nothing.
Go ahead.
I'm just reiterating what Linda just said. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be out there either.
Right. Hey, Paul said he was going to do one video, and he sent it over to me. He's like, okay, that's going to be it. I'm like, are you sure? I go, just do one more. And so he was like, I don't know. 3 days later, there's one. Then next thing you know, every single email he sent to Herman is got a video. And then he's moving on to Wiegert, and it was like,
yeah, he's the email guy.
And the rest
that
was
one
history.
down there. He's the email guy. He's the guy that gets emails.
Hey, Paul is very active on the email. He's a big part of the reason why we're going to be talking to Dr. Richard Leo next weekend.
Yep. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. So he's Paul's a bit of a bulldog when he gets out there, and he gets out there talking to a lot of these people, where he actually gets their attention. So it's going to be very interesting to talk to Dr. Leo. I can't wait, because obviously Dr. Leo has a lot of brilliant things to say when it comes to Brendan, but wrongful convictions, confessions, and all that sort of stuff in general. And so it's going to be a very interesting talk. So I know Paul's pretty excited too.
I think we're getting firsthand information from Kay, because she lives in Daniel's hometown. She must know them.
Right.
And she's very informative. Thank you for being with us here.
You.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Linda.
Yep.
And thank you, Travis, for forcing us to also be devil's advocates.
Yeah, sorry, Travis. I was
sincerely.
mistaken when I said this weekend, so that's why I wanted to say that before the end of this live. We're not going live with Richard Leo today. Sorry, folks. It's going to be Saturday, a week from today. Sorry. So anyway,
can I just confirm? Yes, Trav. Good point. It's next. It's actually the 4th of July,
right?
Which is a well-known date for a lot of Americans.
Yes,
and some British.
I don't know what day it falls on usually, but the 4th of July
is Saturday. It's Saturday.
I'm sure it is. It would make sense, right? Anyways,
yeah, Saturday, 4th of July, which will be it'll be 4. It'll be 4. It's going to be 4 p.m. Richard's time, which is his afternoon Pacific time. So that's 4 o'clock for you, dude. So it's going to be 6 o'clock Central time. It's going to be midnight for me, but it's going to be 9 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning for the Australians.
Central, so that'll be 7 o'clock for people like Mitch who are Eastern.
Yep. But also I'm interested because.
By the way, we lost Mitch because his power went out, folks.
Yeah,
so unfortunately, that's why he's not with us. But sorry, go ahead.
There was Travis was saying that he has represented a cop who was accused of that sort of abusing a sexual abuse of someone. So it would be interesting to know what happened in that case. whether it was the whether it was the individual that brought the case against, or whether it was the police department that then backed up the victim against the the accused perpetrator. So if you've got any more on that, Trav, then please do send that in.
Yeah,
it would be interesting to see how a quote a normal police investigation against an alleged
You mean they have done
attacker.
They have normal investigations. I haven't seen none so far, but I guess I'm a little biased. What can I say?
I mean, I'm on the side that there are a lot of good cops out there, probably like Daniel. I mean, I'm impressed with Daniel. I suppose because of his sporting background, playing in a team, he knows all about discipline and being disciplined, and and just getting the job done. And I think that was the thing that disappointed me most about this. Okay, he'd been there'd been complaints that he'd been a bit rough with people. I mean, he's a big guy, isn't he?
Well, yes, you're right.
But I mean, this idea that he's some sort of pervert that takes some sort of pleasure out of getting women to lift their tops and all this kind of stuff,
right? And that they can find no hint of in his past. He just suddenly became an expert serial rapist as a police officer, just suddenly out of the blue. There's nothing in his past to suggest this.
But then you've got those two cops with Michelle Malkin talking about him being a evil, a psychopath, and it's like what?
It's like Kim Kratz talking about Stephen Avery.
Yeah. And when he's the one doing the sexting and he's got a psychopath and he's a narcissist and he's a blah blah blah.
I got the $350,000 house.
Yeah, he's the prize. Well, I'll take the booby prize. Thank you. I don't want a prize like that. I would consider that a hell of a loss.
Pass me the white elephant gift for sure.
Yep. What did I win? Oh, dirt. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and Kay brings up the fact that Daniel's family are a bunch of sweet people, and they are. Jenny is very sweet. I feel so bad for Pa Holtzclaw.
Yeah, he's in a police officer.
He should be enjoying his golden years and retiring right now, but he's not. He's working double shifts because they had to spend so much money helping Daniel in his defense that he can't just retire now. And I feel bad for them. This is terrible for them. And it's just...
That reminds me of Ryan Ferguson's father. What he had to give up, and we do that for our kids. We give up whatever we can for our kids, but it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be. We shouldn't have to have done that.
Yeah. I mean, everybody just thinks of that, just like his family and their family, but actually, this hurts our whole society. These kind of things are just damaging to us all. Even the ones that are not going to the jail, we're getting damaged by these kind of things happening. We pay for it in taxes. We're vulnerable to have it happen to us.
Yeah, it is. If this can happen to an Oklahoma City Police Department officer, okay, if they can do it to him, they can do it to anybody. So I mean,
we all live on Avery Road.
Yeah, so it's obviously we're gonna have to see what the Holtzclaw camp comes out with as their equivalent for Avery Road. So that ought to be interesting to see that develop in the future. But anyways, so
very excited.
All right, Guy. Look, we haven't got to talk to you too much, but we're getting ready to wrap up here. So I thought I'd give you a chance to talk a little bit about Brendan if you wanted.
I don't talk much. No, I was listening. The thing is, I didn't know this case, so I learned about it, and I checked on the internet at the same time to have a better idea of who he was, etc. So the goal is met. Keep people informed and sensitive to the case. That's the key thing. For me, looking outside, it's scary. It's almost scary to look at that. I was looking at the numbers of people that are imprisoned in the United States.
Yeah.
It's off the chart. there probably is something like 1 in every 300 people is in jail.
Yeah, 300.
Totally nuts. In Canada, it would be like 1 in 10,000. So it's a business. It's an industry. It's privatized, and it's part of the problem why people go in jail like that. If you don't have the education, the money, the skills. It's a
Guy,
Travis wants to know where you're from, Guy.
Yeah.
I live close to Montreal, in the suburb in Canada, Quebec.
Oh, you sound like rural, don't he? Sound like rural?
Kind of a little bit. I was thinking that.
Like
Yeah.
from the Netherlands.
I hope she's a good person.
No, he.
Rule. It's a he. Yeah, Rule's a good guy.
He's a great person.
Good guy.
There you go, Catnip. Another Canuckian right there.
All right. So,
Guy, you sound nothing like a Dutchman. You sound more like a French Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I'm French Canadian, and I sound like, hey, this.
You sound like you're from Wisconsin.
No, wait a minute.
Oh, you're from where?
I'm from a worse state, Minnesota.
Minnesota's just as bad.
They don't like us very much these days.
You're from where? You're British?
Paul, Scottish.
Paul?
Well, yeah, actually, you may be right. You may be right.
Scotsman.
You may be closer with your first guest, actually. But anyway.
Neighboring Scotland, who we love.
Okay,
you're from Scotland.
Yes, I live in the Scotland border.
He currently resides there.
In Galashiels, the well-known town of Galashiels.
I'm not familiar. I've been to London twice, but not to be honest.
About 30 miles south of Edinburgh.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Erekose, is it your name, your last name, or?
You asking me?
Yes,
Erekose is my YouTube name.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Facebook, I have a completely different name.
Okay.
It's French for cold ass honky.
Yeah, that's his favorite character from the book. I remember that.
Oh, God.
He'd be saying, "Who names their kid that in America? What the hell?"
No, that's needing it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a
his
favorite
favorite
hero from one of the favorite fictions I read, named Erekose. So that's what I chose to call myself on YouTube. So
My daughter knew that. My daughter knew that. She goes, "Erekose, wait a minute, that's a little." I said, "Oh, that's where you got it from."
Yeah, the hero was called Eric, and then Rosie. Rosie.
That's just the Haverings of the Mad Scotsman there. That's nothing but Havering, that last bit. So anyway. All right, so I hope you guys have had fun joining us today to talk about Daniel Holtzclaw. Unfortunately, Mitch's power dropped out, so he couldn't be here at the end to say goodbye. But we'll say goodbye for Mitch. So here we go. Obviously, I'll let you guys also say goodbye before I do my final goodbye on the way out.
Okay.
Linda?
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. You'll be seeing more of me and Rhonda and you and Mitch. So thank you.
All right, Rhonda.
Thank you so much for inviting me first, Erekose. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun, and join us on Discord.
All righty. Yes, folks. Let's build up that Discord community. If you're interested in learning more about Daniel, that's going to be the place to learn. So, Mr. Capaldi?
Oh, well, yes. But cheerio, Mitch, or should that be Itch? Sorry, your power dropped off. But many happy returns to your mum for yesterday.
Oh, there you go. Happy birthday to Mitch's mom.
Happy birthday, Mitch's mom.
And Guy, you want to say goodbye real quick?
Yeah. I hope we exchange in the future. Thanks for having me also, and maybe I'll be more knowledgeable about the next one we talked about. Mainly Brendan Daphne.
We'll just have to have you back on to talk about Brendan one of these days. So there we go.
Already.
Okay. I've got a question, Guy. Is it English or French that's your first language?
It's French. Naturally, it's French.
He may be able to help.
We have a certain Belgian fellow who would absolutely love to meet
you.
Oh,
my
but
God.
I'd be glad to translate or exchange with him. It's naturally
Well-
I'm much more comfortable in French.
Oh, yes.
It's just
Perfect.
that Jerome. Yeah, Jerome lives in Belgium, but he lives in the side of Belgium that's close to France,
Yeah.
and he's got his channel. So we will definitely get you in
Yeah,
touch
we
with
definitely gotta connect you two.
Jerome, because a French Canadian is exactly what I said to him about 6 months ago. That's what we
Yeah,
need
you
to
did.
find.
Right. You have a good command of English and French. So there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know a lot of good dirty words in French that
Yeah.
if you meet a police officer in the United States and you want to say something dirty that you're sure he won't understand, I can be
Yeah.
helpful.
There you go. All right, folks. That's it for this one. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.